Good evening. And welcome to another edition of Mental Health Monday, brought to you by Saving Grace Community Church and Grace House Cincinnati. Joining me, as always, my co-host and cohort, Road Dog, brother Dr. Quentin Moss, founder and chief medical director of Modern Psychiatry. Good evening, my friend.
Good evening, brother. How are you?
If it got any better, I couldn't stand it. It's a great day to be a Monday. I'll put it that way. How about that?
Yep.
I'm excited today because we're continuing in our discussion tonight about taking care of ourselves. And last week we talked about how important that is, and how if we don't take care of our mental, how that could lead to some catastrophic things. We are at the end of Suicide Prevention Month, and I've been noticing some of the as being an avid Reds fans on the dugout, they had some stickers that said, we're really glad you're here, and so that, and just to send a message. And so we continue in that discussion in that vein tonight, just to talk about how important it is to take care of yourself. Now, there's an old adage, Dr. Moss, which some people will say that beauty is only skin deep. And I'm not sure, I might say beauty is the eye of the beholder, but I think everybody pretty much at some point in their life likes to look their best. As we look in terms of just imagery, what does looking good on the outside affect what's going on the inside, or vice versa?
Oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes what we see on the outside may be a manifestation of some challenges on the inside. When we suffer from a great deal of anxiety or feeling stressed out or depression, we lose our routines. And part of that routine is the physical self-care. That's for the ladies, it may be what they do with their hair, what they do with their face, how they dress and put on clothes. For men, it might be how often they shave or how often they get a haircut, And as we lose those routines, then the outside sometimes starts to resemble some of the challenges that we have on the inside.
So if we see someone that was always together, cleanly shaven or neatly groomed, or glammed up if they are female, and we start to see them being a little raggedy, it may be, and I guess we can say we saw a little bit of that, people letting themselves go or having difficulty in keeping themselves up during the pandemic.
We did. Though we had reduced contact with each other and we weren't face to face, some people in their isolation, became more anxious, became more sad with mood, and routines were thrown completely off because many people weren't reporting to a particular place each day. And so we started to see, people not take as much attention to their appearance. Now, granted, physical appearance on the outside is not everything, but is often a marker when people start to decline. We see that in mood disorders. We surely see that in people who have psychotic illness, that their ability to maintain that general well appearance starts to slide, as they become more impaired with their symptoms.
So it's kind of like they just don't seem to care anymore about, persons that perhaps would come out with their clothes pressed, persons who had their hair, if they're female, curled or combed or brushed, brothers who were not into the grunge look, who weren't twisting their hair up, but really liked the tight fade. Now we see it's kind of not so tight. It's kind of rough. What do you say to people, Dr. Moss, who say that being concerned, having a high degree of concern about your outward appearance is being superficial?
There is a spectrum with that, right? We can become overly concerned about our appearance and put too much worth in what we look like on the outside, right? And there are mental health conditions that are associated with that. But typically, when we feel well about ourselves, we want to present our best selves. We want to present our best selves, not necessarily to impress or to get a certain type of response, but because we feel good about how we look, and we feel good about what's going on the inside. So that's great that we want to take the time to be able to do that. But what we see where this is most important, again, is this issue of routine. If we have the routine of being able to get up and, quite honestly, start with the basics of washing our face, get the cold out of our eyes, brushing our teeth, combing our hair, putting on the makeup. If we have that routine, and that routine has done well in sustaining us, where that routine is broken because of how we feel, or life stressor, or even grief, as we've talked about a few weeks ago, then we can start to see where on the outside is the manifestation of the struggle and the challenges that are going on the inside.
There's a cliched African proverb that we have used over and over again. It takes a village to raise a child, but I think it takes a crew to help us maintain our wellness internally and externally. And I think just as there has been a lack of emphasis on the importance of making sure your mental is together in comparison to the other biological things, the physiological issues you may have, we seem not to put as much emphasis on how important it is to make sure that you upkeep yourself. So tonight we're very excited to have with us a young lady, Kiara Sanders. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Kiara.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show.
Kiara is a makeup artist, and one of uh, the ways to say that if someone goes to see her is they'll say, well, she got her face beat, which is to say, I mean,
Yes.
you think beat when you say that, but to say to a person they got their face beat, they understand, ladies, females, and females, that not physically they were abused, but there was a transformation that has taken place in
Yes.
on a day on during a session. Now,
Yes.
Kira,
Thing.
as a makeup artist, share with us a little bit of why you were led to become a makeup artist, and what your goal is every time uh, you make up someone's face. Are you or the reason they got their face beat? Okay.
Okay. So, I've been doing this for it'll be 9 years next April, and I just started because I was at a point in my life. I was 23 years old. I had just got out of a relationship, and uh, was the relationship was not good, and I did not feel good in it or after it. And so I started playing around with makeup just make myself feel better. Like you said, you get in those moods, and sometimes just making yourself look good gives you that extra boost. And so, started doing my makeup, started getting really good. People started asking, and it's so funny. I tell this story all the time. I was out at the store and had my makeup on, and my sister in Christ, she was a white lady, and she was like, "Oh my God, your makeup looks so good. Who does it?" I'm like, "I do my own makeup." And she's like, "Oh, well, how much do you charge?" And I'm like, "I don't charge anything. But it kept that whole day. I thought about it. And I'm like, if she's willing to pay me to do her makeup, I might be onto something. Like, let me see what
Hmm.
I need to do. And so I started practicing on church members, family members, and through it, I found myself enjoying being with different women, hearing their stories, and learning from them, and understanding that what I was going through at the time, so many women have gone through at the time, and it's going to be okay. And so it was a form of therapy for me, as well as the women that were coming and sitting down in my chair, because they were able to open up and tell me what's going on with them. And surprisingly, I was very surprised at how many of us are very insecure and suffer from all kind of things like depression and anxiety. And I find that a lot of my clients are like loyal clients that I've had for the 9 years. And they tell me all the time that they like to come because they feel good afterwards. Sometimes they have nowhere to go. You know, a lot of
Mm.
people they come for events, birthdays, weddings, you know, party. But I do have a lot of clients that just come just to come, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so because it's a feel good thing. And through it, it's become my ministry almost, you know. And
Mm.
so I absolutely love what I do, and it was never a goal of mine. I went to college for a whole other thing. Like this was never what I thought I would be doing, but I'm here, and I know that it had to be lined up through God because of the things that happened. It was like boom, 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 and it put me on this path. So really grateful for it.
Wow.
Really grateful for it. So,
Well, I mean, what you do and what you offer, I can speak from experience. You did the makeup for my daughter. I think it was when she went to prom or homecoming or whatever it
mm,
was. But and you did an excellent job um, with her. Not that
thank you.
she, and if she watches, it's not that she needed too
Thank
much work, but the work you did, the work you did was phenomenal. You know, there's some people they take
you.
on
Right.
this
Thank
whole this attitude that I don't need to get anybody to do my makeup. I can do it myself. Globally, nationally, cosmetics
you.
is a half trillion with a T dollar business globally around the world.
Yes.
And so some people are going and
Yes.
they're doing
It's big
themselves. And I got
business.
and now Dr. Moss and I have never really put on makeup, okay? And so I think that's safe to assume, Dr. Moss.
Yeah.
So but the really interesting thing is that as a person who's been in church life, okay, I'll just put it that way. I know sometime I've worn clerical robes, I've hugged
Hmm.
people, and sometimes after I let go, I I did this, and poof, smoke came up off my shirt because it was either too much of the foundation, or I got up on somebody real close, and they had drawn eyebrow something, and it went up this way, and like that, and kind of looked like horns. I said, wait a minute, in the name of Jesus. But anyway, so some people, we've seen
Oh.
lipstick, lipstick is kind of off. So why is it a good thing uh, for someone to come to you? She froze.
Mm.
Because of those reasons.
For those reasons alone. Okay.
Yes, for those reasons. Yes, definitely. And so I tell women all the time, when you come see me for event. They take pictures, that you're going to be in the spotlight. I tell them, you can do your own makeup, but take a class or do the bare minimum. You don't have to try to do the whole thing, on your face because a lot of times they get it wrong. And then you have the excess powder and the brows that wipe off on clothes because they don't know what they're doing. But, you know, I, it's one of those things like I don't want to stop someone's sunshine. So if that's what makes you happy, go for it. But however, weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, parties, dinners, galas, come see a professional. Right? Because a lot of times what I've seen happen at a wedding, did not hire a professional, get their wedding pictures back and are horrified. And at how everything looks because it wasn't professionally done makeup. You know, that camera picked up everything, you know. And so, you know, it's just one of those things where women are just doing their own thing and don't know.
Mm.
Don't know.
Well,
They
one of the
watching their
great,
YouTube and
Mhm.
thinking like, oh, I could do that. One of those which classes? Yes, I teach classes for
Oh,
uh, women who just want to learn how to do everyday makeup. So,
okay. So in a
yeah.
basic session, somebody might learn how to apply, let us know. I mean, we've got women in our life, but we, like I said, we don't put on makeup. I can tell you a few buzzwords. Let me see. Concealer, right?
Yes.
Foundation.
Yeah.
And so what are those things?
Yeah.
Because
You'll learn how to do brows. Yeah, you'll learn how to do your brows correctly. The foundation, what powders to use, how to use the powders. Because whoever that was, who were the big powder, that was way too much powder. You should never have that much fallout. You shouldn't even it shouldn't even dust off like that.
yeah, it's like sawdust, really.
You know, how to properly put lipstick on, how to blend lipstick. That's my biggest pet peeve.
Well, Dr.
Am I breaking
Moss,
up?
no, you're breaking up. Go repeat the last statement you made. Go ahead. Just hold 1 second, Kiara. We'll come back to you. Dr. Moss, hearing Kiara in terms of what the work she does and just the counseling
I said,
aspect. Go ahead. And then the counseling aspect of it in itself is a major piece. And to be able to do that, how likely are customers that go see Kiara or step in a beauty salon or barbershop willing to disclose things that they may not have a relationship? I mean, they're coming there to get their face done, and, they're coming there to get their hair done,
Mm-hmm.
but they kind of pull up their dump truck as well. How does why is that? Why does that happen? That people come into a salon and just feel comfortable just to share their personal secrets.
This is part of our informal mental health team. We think about those who, beauticians, cosmetologists, those who who the manicurist and the barber, and the bartender are often the people who provide informal care. Hopefully, oftentimes, being able to be an empathic listener. And that's one of the things that happens when people go to get their makeup done or their hair done or getting a haircut. They have someone who oftentimes is an unconditional listener to what they're trying to share. And, that's valuable for a lot of people. And then secondly, most of us like the ability to be tended to, whether we're getting a massage or we're getting our shave or whether we're getting a hair done or makeup. We like that aspect. So that interaction, that dynamic is very therapeutic for people who go in. And that's in part why, barbers, not simply because they do a great job, right? Barbers do a great job, but it's also because, that customer has someone that they can routinely bounce things off of or get some validation on something. So again, they're part of our informal mental health team, and so much so that in mental health, it's important that we find ways to engage with people like Kiara so that we can educate them on when they see warning signs of certain conditions or behaviors or symptoms that people describe, that they know where they can refer them to get help. And that's part of what's happened recently with trying to reduce suicide rates and trying to have our informal mental health team to be able to, be the great listeners and being empathic and being able to have that engagement but also know what to do when they see something that looks concerning and how to refer people.
Because yeah, as you said, looking them at as an informal mental health team, that's critical. Again, because we don't make the connection. We just say, oh, well, we're just going in here, to get our face done or whatever. But I think that the role that a cosmetologist plays is very critical, because they can suggest to their clients what it is that they're about to what style to try, what looks best on them, And and I'm sure you you see your wife, you say, hey, what okay, oh well, so and so just wanted to try something different. How do you like it? And then whether you liked it or not, you responded appropriately. It looks great. And so it's a critical piece, because when people leave the salon, when people leave from getting the makeup applied professionally, they will say, the statistics and studies will show that they feel more attractive, they feel more confident, and if they came in lacking hope, lacking joy, or being overly sad, that when they left, having got their outward self together, then what was going on internally was at least put at bay for the moment. And I think that's a critical thing. And then a whole discussion about taking care of yourself, self-care, is what can I do for my own wellness? And sometimes there are times, of course, when we need to make sure that we're in a session, we're sitting across the table from a mental health professional. But there's some things that we can do to maintain our health on our own. I tell people all the time, I feed you spiritually Sunday and Bible study. Okay, I'm gonna feed you. So, but you wouldn't just eat 2 times a week for your body. So you got to eat more than that. You got to feed yourself daily. I'm giving it to you twice a week, but on those other days, you got to build yourself up. So I'm sure that applies to a person who taking care of themselves. They go, set an appointment, they get their hair done, they get their makeup done. But after that, they've got to maintain their wellness.
As we, in our program, for the program where we have people who struggle with addiction and mental health issues, and we, treat them, it is often, the big deal when the cosmetologist, comes to the house and treats the women, and they're able to, to get this transformation, and how much confidence, as you mentioned, that people get. And then that starts to build. So the physical appearance isn't the end all and be all. However, it starts some momentum in regards to how people see themselves and the energy that they want to put into maintaining that which the cosmetologist gave them. And that momentum, on top of some other tools, helps them to start doing some other aspects of self-care. Now that, I got a nice hairdo and I got a few clothes, so maybe I want to start walking more. Maybe I want to start doing something physical to make sure that I maintain myself. Or maybe now I want to start going to bed early so I don't get all the wrinkles under my eyes.
Right.
So some of these other health behaviors can pick up on the momentum simply of being able to spend some time with a cosmetologist or with a barber.
Yeah, because it's like anything, you have to get in the regular practice and habit. And if you're not in the practice or used to taking care of yourself, as we talked about last week, you may start to feel guilty. And if you are a person that does everything for other people, you may feel that you're being selfish if you say, you know what, no, I can't do it. because this time I'll be taking care of myself. There's obviously, Dr. Moss, disorders associated with people having a poor view of themselves and who are disgusted with their image. What are some of those disorders where people where they may need to improve some things or may want to improve something, but they're being motivated for the wrong reason?
So the other end of the spectrum of this is, people who have body dysmorphic disorder. And these are people who have, just typical facial features or body image. However, they see themselves in such a distorted way. They see that their face is misshapen, or aspects of their face are misshapen, or their body image is misshapen by weight or by features. And what we find is that these people start to chase an image that they can never gain. So they go through extreme measures to create changes, or they may have a great deal of anxiety and depression because they cannot make these changes that they feel are necessary. But these changes are really based upon a false view of themselves. And we have a surgery industry that's made lots of money off of people who need fillers and cuts and tweaks and twists and turns of their features, all based upon a false conception of what they see in the mirror. And this is further perpetuated by social media, because now we tend to put our best selves on social media. I mean, no one's gonna show a picture up there where the hair is all out of whack and they got stuff all in their eyes, and no one's going to put that picture up there. People put their best picture up there, or sometimes a photo touch image up there. And particularly with our young people, they see that as the standard, as the mark. And so regardless of what they try to do with their face, they can never match up to some of these images that I put out there. And that's where a great deal of the danger lies.
Yeah, because I know, that's a topic of another show. But there are some people who, I know so many people who are temporary Floridians because they travel to Florida for some type of augmentation. Because they're not happy with something physically, and they've been told that they're lacking in a certain area, and so if they want to be more acceptable and attractive to more people, they've got to have these improvements. And I think that it's sad, even when you get into plastic surgery, when there's some people who are not comfortable with their lips and they want them thinned out, or the nose are too broad and so they want them to be narrowed. And even with that, which is really interesting, is because now what was at one point looked to be something that was not attractive now seems to be coming in view, where people want fuller lips, where people want a more thicker, if you will, appearance, rather than a more anorexic kind of view. Well, it's been great, Dr. Moss, and we look forward to our time in the next couple of weeks as we talk about just some practical things that we can do, male and female, to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. And if you're not worth taking care, if you don't believe that you are not worth taking care of yourself, then other people will believe you're not worth being nice to you. I firmly believe that sometimes the way we portray ourselves, we reap what we sow. And so to all of those of you that have watched tonight and those who will watch as we replay this show, we want to thank you for your time. And we really want you to take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is important. And we hope that we drop some nuggets from Dr. Moss and from our guest tonight, Kiara. that will help you. And we want to encourage you to live better, feel better, and become better. Have a great night, everyone.